Are you thinking about writing a book? Well, I have exactly the group for you. You need Shine Press in your life. They have a free 30-minute consultation that answers your questions and shows you what it would look like to become a Shine Press author. They're illuminating stories and empowering authors. Go to shine-press.com to learn more.
Welcome to Productive Joy with Dr. Christie, where fun meets action.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Productive Joy, the recap. So, we had another fabulous week with fabulous guests, and I am so excited to talk a little bit about the things that I learned this week and the things that I think you should take with you. So, we had two guests. The first one was Nejat Abdurahman, and the second one was Scott Haug, and both of them are entrepreneurs. They are lifelong learners, they are thinkers, and they are doing really amazing things for people in a couple different spaces. So Nejat is an author and a speaker and a coach who I used to be a corporate trainer, who is now working with leaders to help them figure out how to manage up. And what she means by that is that we shouldn't just be managing those who we are responsible for, but we should also be managing up and across, right? We should be helping all the people around us get better. And she helps people do that. And one of the ways that she does that is by helping people figure out how to communicate what value they bring. So I thought this was a really cool way to think about things when you are trying to navigate your way through a system, whether that system is a job or a family or whatever. People need to know what value you bring. And we make a lot of assumptions, like as a mom. I think that there are a whole lot of assumptions made about the value that I bring versus what I really do. In other words, people have not one clue what a mom is doing. They just notice when it doesn't happen, right? So if she's not done the laundry and the socks aren't clean, all of a sudden someone's paying attention to whether or not the laundry happens. But then the fairy that comes and makes magical things happen is there all the rest of the time and nobody really notices, right? I'm the fairy, by the way. Let's be clear. That's me. So if I'm not communicating with my family, some of the things that I'm doing, they will very often go unseen, right? And so what Nejat talked about is how do we do that in a way that is productive and in a way that is heard? Because sometimes we might be aiming at different targets, right? So you all know that my system with AIM is all about setting a clear target and then taking aim, analyzing your current systems, improving on those systems, and moving towards change, whatever that change needs to be. And so what we talked about is that sometimes I, as the employee, might be aiming at one target and my boss might be aiming at a different target. And if I don't know which target I'm supposed to hit, chances are good I'm going to waste a lot of time. I don't think any of us want to waste time. And so the same happens in our lives, right? If we think about it this way, if my personal goal is to be in good shape, that's my target. But if the only food that's ever in the house because somebody else does the grocery shopping or because I am weak when I go to the grocery store is crap, then I am not aiming at the right target, right? So how do we do that? Well, I think we're more clear. Remember, clear is kind. You know, my bestie, Brene Brown, she doesn't know she's my bestie, but still, Brene and I both agree that clear is kind. And so how do we clearly communicate with others the value we bring, the return on investment, the good stuff? So I really appreciated that about her. And then I got to interview Scott Haug. So Scott's kind of a big deal. He is a big deal on YouTube and TikTok, but one of the things that he does, or the biggest thing that he does, is really around the art of manifestation and recognizing that our thoughts are what carry us to the destinations that we choose. Sometimes those are good and sometimes they're not, but it's always our choice. So I know I've told this story before, but let me tell it again for those of you that haven't heard it. When I was in college, it was my first time away from home. I'm technically an only child, but I have two half brothers and a half sister and some step brothers and sisters. So not really, but they're much older than me. So like over 10 years older than me. And so because of that, I felt like an only child for those latter years. And I moved away from home to go to college, and my parents decided to get a divorce. And I had never seen them fight before, ever. And we lost our home in bankruptcy and everything in it. And so they literally auctioned off my bed. So now all of a sudden I'm supposed to be a grown adult at 19 years old. Guess what? I wasn't. And I didn't have a home to go home to. Nothing I knew to be true and right existed anymore. And so it was a dark time for me because I felt like nothing made sense. Why the heck am I telling you this story? Because I decided at 19 that I would start writing down some good things in a journal. And those good things sometimes were really lame, like they served something decent in the cafeteria, or I didn't trip in front of that cute boy. It was like all I could come up with. But eventually, as that year went on, I went from my 3 lines in my journal, my little space that I couldn't fill, to not having enough room for all of the good things that were going on. That was arguably the hardest year of my life. Well, yes, one of the hardest years of my life. And yet, I couldn't fit all my good things on 3 lines. It wasn't that my circumstances shifted, my perspective shifted. And so that's really what Scott talked to us about is what are you choosing to see? Two people could be sitting in traffic, one singing along with the radio and the other's cussing everyone around them. Which one do you want to be? That's a choice. I think productive joy is a choice. If we want to create joy, then we've got to put some effort into it. So what I really liked about Scott, lots of things, he was great, but I loved his definition of productive joy because I hadn't had anybody talk about the masculine and feminine in energy that productive joy brings. Okay, so I didn't understand this fully, but what he talked about was the masculine productive is ambitious and present. It's heading to a goal efficiently. But the joy is the more feminine word. It's a dance of feeling, and it's feeling whole while doing it. So heading to a goal efficiently, but feeling whole while doing it. It's a pretty cool definition, isn't it? I love that we have gotten well over 100 different definitions of productive joy in the last year and a half. And I love that you get to have your own. I want to hear them. Would you please send them to me? You can email me at Christie@aimwithus.com. You can DM me on any of the different platforms, LinkedIn or Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and just say, hey, Christie, my definition of productive joy is, and tell me, because it is personal. And it's starting to get more and more exciting because more people are learning what it is. And as you learn what it is, you start to own it. And I want to know what you're owning. I want to know what you're learning. I want to know what you're walking away with so that I can make more of that, so that I can meet your needs. Because the reality is we all need a little more productive joy in our lives. We all need a little shot of B12. We all need that ability to feel energized at the end of the day instead of drained. That's something else Scott talked to us about. That's how you know you're being your authentic self, is if you are energized at the end of a long day, you've probably been your authentic self in that day. If you're drained at the end of the day, chances are good you had to play a part. I hope that the bulk of your life isn't playing a part, that you are getting to live your authentic self. And if you're not, I want to help. Let me help you figure out who that is and what you're all about, or let me hook you up with one of my amazing guests who can too. So today on Productive Joy, the recap, what are you walking away with? What's your nugget of wisdom? I'm going to guess each one of you latched onto something a little different. Maybe you're going to start a good things journal. He talked about actually 5 things that you see that are good. Do it for 30 days and check it off like an accountability chart. Wouldn't that be great, right? 5 things. I am so grateful that I didn't have to wire this house for me to be able to have electricity. That's an example he used. And I'm really grateful for electricity. Those of us that live in hurricane states and have lost power for multiple days fully appreciate some good electricity. Maybe it's air conditioning because, you're in Florida, it's already hot in April. Maybe it's springtime. I don't know what you're grateful for, but what if you started with that practice? I'm not picking your practice for you. I want you to pick something that works for you. And I want you to realize that you have a whole lot more influence over how you feel than you might realize. So today and every time I sign off, my hope for you is that you figure out a way to turn fun into action.